What's your advice on engaging underserved populations with opportunities for this kind of STEM learning?
That's a good question, and it is something that we have really wrestled with. And I certainly don't pretend that we are, um, that we've solved that. um, we're lucky enough that we've had some really good grant funding in the past from various organizations, and that has enabled us to give financial assistance to families who need it. And I think that that is sort of step one, but that is definitely not good enough. We've noticed that transportation is also an issue. Like, even if we have the money to support a student participating, if they can't get here, and many high schoolers can't drive themselves or they don't have a car, then that is a bigger issue, and it's not really one that we have a solution to. We tried to write in transportation to a grant one time, and then that grant, it didn't end up getting funded for other reasons. We were a small part of that grant, so I didn't really get the chance to see if writing it in would help. But that's one approach we've taken. We also have noticed that, like, some of our public programs, like the teen science cafes, which again, they're run by a small volunteer group, but they are open to any teens who want to come. They're free. There's no RSVP required, and we even bribe kids with free food. The first 50 kids to show up get a voucher for the cafe. Um, and we are pulling in a good audience and a consistent audience, but we are not pulling in your traditionally underserved audiences, even though many of them are quite close to downtown. And that too, we haven't really solved yet. We are trying to reach out to teachers and hope that they will communicate that message to students. We do have a couple of outreach programs. Our Girls in Science program, which is for middle school students, it's not a volunteer program like the high school programs that I talked about. It's more of like a class. And we run it here at the museum after school once a week in the fall or the spring semester. So in addition to the Girls in Science program that we offer here at the museum, we also support outreach versions of that program at different schools that do have a higher need. And so we've worked with a couple different schools in the area. And what we normally do is hire a contractor who teaches the program, but with all the same museum resources and a field trip to the museum. And so the goal is that coming to these schools is probably an easier sell than saying, somehow manage to get your kid here at 3:30 on a Thursday. And so those programs have also been successful. We have also partnered with the Walnut Creek Wetlands Center, which is a community center in just south of downtown Raleigh, and with a strong sort of ecological focus. And what we've been able to do there is run a day camp for students who are served by that community center and some of the neighboring ones. And that's been a very, very successful partnership. And I think part of the reason why is we provided transportation. So for that program, we've actually been able to hire to have assistance from a city employee who drives a city bus to the different community centers and picks up the kids who are participating in that camp. And that has been a good way to kind of overcome that, the like, how do you make it happen barrier?